Welcome to The Route to Revenue, two entrepreneurs sharing the path to curbside cash flow. I'm Ben.
And I'm Mike. We're both founders of two successful recurring revenue businesses in the home services industry. And we've built our companies from startup to profitable and scalable operations.
This is the show for entrepreneurs serious about building sustainable home service businesses. Whether you're starting out, scaling up, or ready to move beyond trading time for money, we share proven strategies for creating predictable monthly revenue streams.
And while our expertise comes from the bin cleaning industry, the systems and principles we discuss work for any recurring revenue home service. Think lawn care, pest control, pool maintenance, and beyond.
Each episode, we break down real-world strategies for customer acquisition, retention, operational efficiency, and building systems that generate consistent income while you step back from daily operations.
Are you ready to transform your home service businesses from a demanding job into a profitable asset? This is The Route to Revenue.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Route to Revenue. I'm Ben Magee with Green Can Cleaner. I'm here with Mike Walker from Spiffy Bin.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So we are going to do not a continuation. Last episode kind of got hijacked with a phone call back from Chris Gentry of my service area. And he was discussing his comment that he made in one of our groups that Ben and I are in. And Ben defended himself and Chris defended himself. And they both, I think the mediator on the call just did a great job keeping everybody kept everybody in line.
Skills were amazing on that.
Yes.
I think our limited audience will agree.
Even though I don't understand why he called. We both, so if you didn't watch or listen to the last episode or 2 episodes ago, we both called Chris on the podcast, and both of us, I guess, left a message. I don't know if I left a message, but he chose to call Ben's number back, which he did not have saved in his phone, I think is what we determined. So there is that. So he was looking after business first, thinking maybe there's somebody from Colorado moving to Charleston and needed some Happy Can service. So, but he did not call me back. So then proceeded to call me out. But anyways,
and then he did tell me that I'm ahead of you now. So I don't know. He might have moved on the Spiffy scale, huh?
That is true. He didn't hear what you said after you got off the line, though. We'll have to wait a couple weeks and see where you stand. I'm not saying you badmouthed him when he got off the air, but
I did not.
When he got off the call, but
you know as well as anyone, I love Chris and I love what he does with MSA. So
absolutely, it's a great product.
Dang.
But anyways, today's episode, which got hijacked last episode, was about goal setting and setting our goals so that they are maybe uncomfortable and maybe a little bit of a stretch. And you've got some training that you've gone through on that aspect that you can offer.
So last year, Lisa and I went to Cabo to the Summit Mastermind, and it's a great mastermind that Carlos puts on. Carlos, for anyone that doesn't know, Carlos is actually the proprietor of EBC, which is a soap that's used in, pressure washing, soft washing, that sort of thing. And he does this mastermind, and it's a great deal. And Lisa and I went, and we came home with just tons of things that we've applied to Green Can Cleaner, and it's been amazing. So,
and it was in Cabo, so why wouldn't you go?
Well,
it's not like they held it in Kansas or anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, Cabo definitely. I will tell you though, when we left Denver, they told us that we were threading the needle to get into the airport and land in Cabo before the next leg of the hurricane hit. So we literally flew into a hurricane to go to this.
I don't like threading needles on an airplane. I think that's that should not be something that we try to do. But
yeah. So anyway, at this mastermind or retreat or whatever you want to call it, Brandon Vaughn gave a presentation that was really good. And as part of that, he talked about exactly kind of what we're going to talk about. And it came from a couple of books. One is The Science of Scaling, and the other one is 10X is Easier Than 2X. And
I like that.
Mike and I were talking, and, we were talking about goal setting and that, and he asked about this exact thing. And so the premise of these books and the presentation was that you should make your goals so uncomfortable that you don't think that you can hit it. And the reason is because then that forces you to get clarity. It forces you to move all the noise out of the way and just focus on that goal.
And I think it also, I think the research, not the research, but I think the thought process is that it stretches your brain and it makes your brain look for things that are like that, the same results as that, trying to get that same result. It's gonna expand everything and be able to think it's possible, I guess. Does
Well,
that make sense? As opposed to, oh, it's impossible to hit that
if
number.
you think that it's an unattainable goal, then you're still going, okay, I'm going to go for this, and I'm actually going to put my heart and soul into this. Then you're going to come up with new ways to go about things to hit that goal. And so you're
Right.
absolutely right. It gets your subconscious mind working on it. It gets, everything working on it to attain that goal. And so where this started for our listeners, obviously, we did the Cabo Mastermind, but a couple of episodes ago, Mike and I were talking about what it takes to hit $1 million in revenue in a recurring revenue business. And when we broke that down, it actually does not seem like it's all that difficult to
Unattainable.
hit. Yeah, it's not that unattainable. Now, I say that, I mean, basically, if you can get your average per stop at $43, we did some math, that takes us to, about 85 stops a day that you need. And I know that for the guy that's just starting his business that has he's doing it himself, and his average per stop is, I don't know, $38 or $35, and he's working his tail off and doing 20 stops a day. I know that number seems unattainable. And so maybe that's where you start, is you hone in on the $1 million mark and go, okay, that's my goal. I mean, I know when I started, and I think we kind of discussed this, Mike, it was the same for you. When I started, I mean, $1 million in revenue per year seemed it was just too big. And I think
And
what
at the
I would,
time, maybe it was,
yeah,
maybe it could be a little debilitating.
yeah. But when you do some math, suddenly it's not so hard to hit if you just pay attention to a few numbers and move forward.
I wouldn't say it's not hard to hit. I mean, there was a lot of work that went into it,
I said
but
not
there's a
so hard.
path. There's
It's
a
not
path.
unattainable. There's a
There's
path
a
to it.
pathway there. You can get there. You can do
Yeah.
it. You can find you put the dots together and you can get there, but it's definitely work.
As they say, Mike, success leaves clues. And, and so follow the clues. And the first one is find that goal number that you go, holy cow, there's no way.
And then double it.
Right. I mean, for me, that first one was 100,000. But if I'm honest, should have set 250 as the first goal instead of
Right.
the next goal.
Yeah, but maybe the 100 was right? I mean, at that time you might have done, I don't know, 100 bins or something. Who knows? At 20
I'm
bucks a bin,
telling
you were 2 grand in revenue. 100,000 sounds pretty impressive.
yeah,
And it is impressive. I mean, let's not downplay that. For every goal you make, I mean, it's impressive.
yeah, I'm not downplaying. What I'm saying though is that when I started out, I mean, that was my thing was, okay, I want to generate $100,000 in a year. And the first year, I'm going to tell you guys, there was no way. It was just, I mean, it was a dumpster fire. If I'm completely honest, I mean, and that was my first big goal.
Did you ever think you were going to quit when that was happening? Did you ever think, oh my God, this is more than I can take? Did you run into one of those moments?
I would say I ran into a lot of those moments, Mike, but
Really?
I
Okay.
also knew that I mean, I don't know if I'm too stubborn or too stupid to quit, but
Lisa has an idea on that, I'm sure, but
yeah, keep it to yourself, Mike.
that's my mediator. That's my mediator hat being put on there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean,
Interesting. So not that you didn't ask me the question in return, but
well,
I
I
don't
do
think
want to know.
I don't think I ever ran into that where I thought it wasn't going to work. And maybe that's just me being too much of an optimist. I'm the half full guy without being the half full guy. I always think, in my previous life, I'd gone through training and real estate and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things stuck with me is, how you can perceive things and how you can think about things and how you talk about things. And I choose to not find, I choose to spin everything with a positive spin. Oh, okay, it can be fixed. Let's fix it. The fixer thing, which I get in trouble with a little bit from my family, because they're all like, I don't need you to fix everything. I need you to say, I understand. I understand. Here comes my mediator voice. And that's just not how I'm built. I'm like, okay, so that bothers you. Let's fix it. Because if you don't figure out how to fix it, then it's going to keep bothering you or whatever. But I think I always looked at it, and I just maybe it was naive, being too naive to think that it could fail. And in reality, it could easily fail. But
And I think the question you asked was, were there times where you thought that it wasn't going to work or you were going to give up? And,
yeah,
I will tell you that there is one that stands out in my mind.
hmm
And it was dead of winter and a snowstorm coming in, and I went out and I cleaned cans, and I was using a trailer at the time behind my truck, and everything went wrong that day. People didn't have cans out, but when I messaged them, they were like, "Oh, I'm coming," and then it's another 5 or 10 minutes at this stop,
hmm
5 or 10 at that stop, and oh, this can, this monthly customer that always has, it's just a rinse on their cans. Now there's something on the cans that I have to scrub. And so that's
hmm
an time. And I mean, everything went wrong. I think something on the pressure washer broke that I had to fix, that I could fix, thankfully.
yeah.
Trailer had issues. I mean, you name it.
That was a day, though.
But by the end of the day, here I am in a snowstorm outside, emptying
Um,
that trailer, and it's freezing cold.
how did
And
my life choices get me to this point? Is
I'm
probably what
I
you're
was
thinking.
questioning my life choices at that
hmm
point. And
hmm
if I'm completely honest, the thought that was going through my head is, you know what? I could just give up. I could
hmm
just give up. I can pay any debt or anything that I've got on this. I can pay it off.
Call it a day and move on.
Call it a day. I can sell this rig and move on. And that is, I
So
think,
did you have any goals that got you through that?
well, if I'm
Or what
honest
what
with
got
you,
you through
yeah.
that, I
The
guess?
so
A
so
warm shower helped.
Well, yeah, I mean, warming up helped, but literally, I mean, I'm dumping that trailer and cleaning the hopper out and doing all of that. And the thought was, well, if I'm going to sell it, I at least need to keep it clean, so I got to take care of this stuff. And by the time I got from there to the actual storage bay where we keep it,
Yeah,
it was, that really wasn't that bad.
yeah,
And by the time I got home, it was, you know what? I'm pretty lucky to be able to do this. There aren't a lot of people
yeah,
that start their own business, run their own business. I've done other businesses that are hard as well. Some days are just going to be like this. And I got myself through it. Uh,
yeah.
or maybe
And
I
a
didn't.
lot of times, that's the win, is
Right.
just getting through that day. And I don't have the cold here or I have the heat. And I remember there were many times I was out there, and I had 2 things that kinda went through my head, the mantra. There was 3 years, 3 trucks, and me not driving any of them.
Right.
That was my thing when I was going bad. And then the other thing was, I wanted a boat. I wanted a boat since I was 2. And it just kept, that's what kept going. I'm like, "I'm gonna get a boat. I'm gonna get a boat. I'm gonna get a boat." And should that have been enough to drive me through a lot of this stuff? Probably not, but it was. And it's just finding that thing that works for you and works for, to keep you through those, because there's gonna be bad days, and that's okay. You just try to turn the next day and make it better, and whatnot.
Yep. And I think every entrepreneur has those days, if we're honest.
Sure.
I
Or
will
they're
say that I have fewer of those days today,
Mhm.
but there are still days. I mean, The other day I hired a young man that, I mean, I just think the world of him. We have interactions. We go to the same church. We have interactions. He's just got a great head on his shoulders and needed a summer job. And so I figured we'd have him, clean up the shop and do things like that. And I get the call from Tom, who's, he's our operations manager. Hey, this kid just cut his hand and we're headed to the ER.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, "Oh, great, here we go," It's our and, so then I text his parents, probably should have called, but I sent a text and Tom had already called. And honestly, I mean, I was out of town. And so what's going through my head is, do I need to jump in the truck right now and get going?
Yeah,
I was an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and I'm like, do I need to be and so I sent a text because I was trying to figure out what's next. And I was looking up the workman's comp insurance information and all of that to where that I knew that he was taken care of. And I wanted to make sure that his parents knew because I knew that they were going to want to get there. And
sure.
his dad had already received a call from Tom and was already on his way to meet him at the clinic. But if I'm honest, I mean, that actually threw me to have someone get hurt at work.
Right.
And especially someone who, I was just trying to do a favor for.
Sure.
First summer job, anyway, everything worked out okay, but that was another place where I was like, "Man, what am I doing here?" You know?
Yeah. When you
And
become responsible for other people, even
it
though, I mean, you didn't
today.
obviously slice his hand, but, your organization kind of sliced his hand, if you will, or whatever.
Well,
He sliced it well under your watch. I mean,
yeah, I mean, to his credit, he says, "Hey, you know what? I was the one that wasn't paying attention to what I was doing." And that's part of why I love the kid is because, he takes self-responsibility when others might not.
right, right.
But the bottom line for me is, if I'm completely honest, it was a moment where I was like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah,
And, "Can I get there and can I do this?" And I mean, I was really worried about it. And so I think that there's still some moments like that. Was I ready to give up the business? No. But was I affected? Yeah. Yeah. And,
sure.
Tom, who's the operations director, was affected. And both of us are like, when we talked about it later and we kind of downloaded what do we need to learn from this? I mean, there were some things that we're going to put in place that, lessons learned. So anyway,
Yeah. I like it.
yeah, this episode's turned into something different than what we anticipated.
It has. So sorry, sorry. So on the 2x to 10x, can you give us a quick books? I'm always looking for books to read or listen to or what have you. Have you read that one yet?
You know, I have not. It's been sitting on that shelf behind me, and there's other books that seem to keep coming on top of it and other things
Okay.
that I
Sorry.
do.
I
I
should have known the answer before I asked it, or I wouldn't have asked that
No,
question. My
no,
apologies.
you know what? It sits there and you can see, I mean, I've got the 2 that are sitting there that I wanna read, and they go together, and the problem is that I know that I wanna study them, and, unfortunately, that hasn't happened yet. There's another book that is in that 3, though I am started on it. Have you heard of the book Who Not How?
No.
So that is actually by the same 2 authors, and I'm currently reading that, and I'm gonna read all 3, and I'm not gonna let anything else get in the way, and I'm gonna move forward with those 3. So,
Nice.
while we're talking about that, Mike, what are you reading? And what goals are you setting? Two-part question.
Well, currently not reading anything. Summertime, it's just too hard to stay into anything, to be honest with you. So I'm currently not reading anything. Some goals though. My goals, and I don't know if it's really important what my goals are necessarily, but my goals are to hit that $1 million mark. We're close. We're within 25% of that number, I guess. So we're getting closer, which is nice. I've kind of got a little bit more of I don't know what the right word is. I'm trying to set myself up to stay out of the truck, to get out of the truck, and then be out and then stay out of the truck. And achieving some of these revenue goals will help with that, for sure. But to kind of get back to this episode of goals, I think we should probably talk about goal setting and how to set a proper goal. So, we may or may not have heard of like the term SMART goal. So in a setting your goals, you want to have it be specific, right? We need to make sure it's very specific. It's not vague. It's not I want to lose weight. You need to say I want to lose 18 pounds. It's got to be measurable, right? Obviously, with goal settings with weight, it's very easy, but also in business, it's easy. If you want to increase things, percentages are usually the easiest way to go about it, because you can increase month over month or year over year. I think it does have to be achievable, but that's where I change that a little bit, right? We want it to be achievable, but at the same time, you want to be stretched. So that's important. Relevant. It should align with your longer term goals and overall strategy, and then also time bound. If you don't ever have a time limit on it, then you're just going to flounder, right? So we want to have a time. We want to, by next year at this time, I want to, rolling averages, I want to hit $1 million, or I want to be, down 37 pounds. Whatever that goal is, have a time on it so that you can, you have a destination. And I think that's important.
Well, and what we were talking about earlier, and I think that it's in the SMART goal. I love everything about it except achievable. I think that we sell
We
ourselves
disagree a
short
little
with
bit.
that.
I agree. Yeah.
I think whatever you look at and you go, oh, that's achievable, you should at least double it.
It's not stretched enough,
It's not,
100%.
you're not stretching yourself enough, and the reason is again because there's noise, right? I mean, there's all of these things. Well, I can't do this because of that. Well, what do you need to change to make it sure that you achieve that goal? And so, like your goal of hitting the $1 million mark, what do you need to do to get to that $19,231 a week in revenue?
I think it comes down to really 3 core pillars that need to be done. I think more customers always is helpful,
Obviously.
right? So that's a good one. Growth, more new customers per month. Also, operations-wise, running a tighter route. If we're trying to get to, I mean, some days we've got today, I think we had 127 stops. Some days we're well over that 85 number, but other times we're a little bit under. So, trying to get that tighter route revenue. We couldn't have done the 120. So that's the other thing, right? As I break it all down, the 127 stops that we have today were all within, I don't know, 5 miles east-west and 4 miles north-south. I mean, they were tight, and we had 3 trucks in there. That's the only way you really can do 127, in my opinion, 127 stops with 3 trucks is that you have to have them all tight like that. So, but then on the 60 stop days, they could be, I mean, I don't even know. We talk about service area. I mean, it's just, huge, and it's too big perhaps, but again, it's easy to grow into those areas that you've already got some business in, and that's just how I set it up. And then the last pillar I think would be the retention, right? Keeping the money. Because I mean, as much as the top line revenue is, it's only good if you can still bring enough down to the bottom line. And that's, so I think a piece of that is that I don't, I mean, arguably it'd be nicer to be, let's say you're at $1 million, but you only retain 20% of it, but you're at 800,000 and you retain 40% of it. It's probably it's definitely better off to be in that latter one.
Which
So you have to be mindful and respectful of all the costs that go into running the business and making sure that it's, because you could spend $400,000 and acquire all the customers in the world, but you just spent $400,000 to acquire all the customers in the world, and that that may not be your best interest. So
correct. And there's a saying that they have that revenue is for vanity and profits for sanity.
yeah,
And so, but
yeah,
I mean, I do think that we still need to, as business owners, have a revenue goal. And
yeah. And it should
we're
be,
now
it should put a little pit in your stomach when you hear that number.
it should.
And I remember you gave me a number a few months ago, and it put a pit in my stomach, and it's not even my, and I don't know where you are tracking and all that. I'm sure you know better. I'm sure you know, but that was one where I was like, "Ooh, damn," So it's you're living that scenario as well.
Oh,
So
as you know, as we've talked, I mean, I practice what I preach.
right,
My goals, although I can tell you what I mean, here's the thing is there's no sense in, and I'm going to use the $1 million thing again, because I think a lot of our listeners are people who either, are just starting out in a home service business, a recurring revenue business. And I'm going to use that $1 million mark. I will tell you that for me, I knew exactly what it took to get there.
hmm
And if you set a goal and you don't know and you haven't done the math that we broke down a little while ago, and you've got a revenue goal, now part of my goal, as you know, because we've talked about it, is exactly that. I want to keep, a decent percentage of that revenue. But if you've got a goal and you haven't broken down how to get there, then you don't have a goal, you have a wish. It
right,
has to be in writing, and it has to be something that you look at and go, and it needs to be scary. Okay. When I first started out, looking at 85 stops a day was scary,
sure,
to
sure,
average 85 stops, because I've got to have some 127 or 137 stop days.
hmm
But and now that goal has it's a realistic goal. It's become reality. And now
right,
the next goal that you and I were talking about, I know what it takes to get there. And I know, I mean, for me, I've already achieved it. I just need the reality to match that.
right, right,
But in my mind, I've already achieved that goal. And so it's just a matter of doing what it takes to get there, but I've got that all mapped out. So, okay, well, Mike, we're approaching the 30-minute mark, and we
yeah.
kind of
There
tried.
was one other thing I wanted to add to our
What is
convo.
it?
Sorry. There's always one other thing. But also part of your SMART goals is adding in restraints. And this is kind of I think going to be part of the secret sauce, if you will, of the whole thing, is setting rules in your acquisition of revenue and whatnot. So for instance, set some actionable SMART rules that no routes under 25 stops. So you have 3 trucks, boom, try to get to 20 stops, 25 stops. And then prioritizing your plans as much as you can, right? So you may want to advertise a quarterly special, perhaps. I know you're not big into specials, but something, whatever your goal is, if your goal is quarterly over one times, let's make that quarterly where it's almost dumb for them to pick a one time and try to get them. And I think we do that with our pricing already.
We do.
And then, you know, focusing on certain areas to try to get 50 plus customers clustered in certain areas is going to be important too. It kind of keeps you away from just chasing shiny objects, the newest, baddest new thing on Facebook that somebody's advertising. And then perhaps you also take one aggressive bet per quarter. So maybe you hire ahead of the demand. So you're ready to go when that comes. I'm guilty of not doing that. You're testing maybe an upsell, whether that's, upselling pressure washing or upselling, some people are getting into deodorizer subscriptions and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think if it's going to be beneficial to the service, then it should just be included and you should just factor that all in. I also think people we charge 3.7% on top of our credit cards. I think that's terrible as well. Just factor that into your price. I mean, I don't want them, because the thing is, I don't want them to pay any other way than credit card. So am I going to make it penalize them for using the method I want them to use? Heck no. But anyways, I digress. And then perhaps launching, subscription prepay discount campaign if you're not already doing that. We do a little bit of one, but same kind of deal if that can benefit you. Although, to be honest with you, you got to pay bills all the time, so it's nice to have that revenue coming in every month. I know it comes with a little bit extra cost at 30 cents or whatever they ding us for each swipe, if you will, but that's negligible. And so anyways, so it's different things like that I think are important. And I think looking forward, if we want to do actionable items, can you give us a couple actionable items, Ben?
Well, I think, I mean, if you're first off, again, actionable items, pick a goal, pick one that seems scary, and write it down. And then break it down, do the math, and see where you have to be to get there. And then you have a goal rather than a wish. If it's not in writing, it's not a goal. So
Mhm.
pick something this week, whatever it is, and write it down. I think that would be the most actionable item that we could give. Do you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I think once you write it down, your brain's already starting to work on it. I'm not big into the dream boards and stuff like that, but I can see the value of reading that every day. So if you have a spot on the wall that you can put, whatever it is, I think it's corny a little bit, but I also understand a little bit how the brain works, mostly because mine doesn't work well. But
I
but
will
regardless,
I will
I
tell
think
you for a year and a half, I've had 19,000 in my office where I can see it.
oh, is that right?
That's the weekly
Nice.
number. That has changed now
Sure, to the new number, which we'll
to the
talk
new
about in a
number.
year and a half.
Yep. So,
I like it.
and we're pacing exactly where you and I talked about we needed to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah,
Love to hear it.
good stuff. Okay.
Well, episode 47, we'll announce what that range was when we get
There
there.
you go.
So,
We'll announce what I was the big, hairy, audacious goal that
and then even if you don't make it, that's okay.
uh,
At the end of the day, you're further ahead than you were if you didn't make that goal.
uh,
So,
and I think one more thing, we should do an episode on this. Gratitude. I mean, I'm grateful for where we are. I'm grateful for
yeah,
the business that we've been able to build, and I'm grateful for the opportunities that it's afforded us. It's
it's
not
hard.
that
Go
setting
ahead.
a goal is not saying we don't have enough. It's saying, let's take these resources and do more.
I know I'm guilty of not celebrating enough of it, though. I've got buddies that I go out with or whatever, and we hang, and they're all like, I'm so envious of you. You had this idea and you went ahead and went after it and did it and
Yep.
blah 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 blah. And I mean when they tell me that, it doesn't happen very often, but when they do tell me that, it's like, yeah, you know what, yeah, that is it is cool. But I I fail to take the time to really whatever
I
cherish
think
or relish, and
I
that gratitude thing is important.
I think that most entrepreneurs, it's just the next thing, and I think that expressing that gratitude helps you hit the next goal as well. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and
Yep.
like, just in case you have a little soft, touchy moment here, just in case I haven't told you, I'm proud of you. You've done a
Thank
great
you.
job. Spiffy is a great company. And so, and they're right. You've taken an idea and you've made it come to fruition. So,
What's pretty cool too, because you equally have, I mean, your name and Green Can Clean. I don't know, not as good as Spiffy Ben, but it's funny that two guys from 30 or 2,800, 2,500 miles away kind of started roughly around. You started, I think, half a year ahead of me, but
yeah.
kind of had the same idea around the same time. Probably went through all the same stuff. And we connected probably 3 years into our journey, so maybe 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago,
Right.
maybe a little bit more, but it's wild and we're not the only 2 by any stretch. I mean,
No, I mean,
there's tons and tons of
there's
people that have
tons.
done it,
And we
and
were,
across all the businesses, but
yeah,
it's wild how, we've made it work, and it's cool, and it's impressive, and all of that stuff,
yeah, yeah.
so
And,
not to pat
again,
ourselves
the
on the back.
entrepreneur in me says, what's next?
Does, yeah, and I mean, and that's also one of the bad things about being an entrepreneur. If we're being honest, that brain never stops. I mean,
Yeah.
it never stops,
What's
and that's
next?
the part that sucks. When you were a W-2 employee and you punched out, quote unquote, or whatever it was, you left on Friday, you might have thought a little bit, you might have checked email. It's a little different now, but I'm thinking back, previous life when we all didn't have smartphones connected to our email all the time. once you left on a Friday and didn't show up till Monday, the world was yours. And we don't get that, I don't think, that luxury. But there's other times, Tuesday at 1:00 in the afternoon, we can go do things that our buddies can't because they're working. So,
Yeah.
or,
I will
working.
tell you, I climbed a mountain, I guess it was Monday this week. And when I got down and Lisa said, "Well, how was it?" And I said, "Well, it was a great Monday."
Right. Right. And you didn't jump. So, I mean, you had a good weekend. That's good.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. Thanks,
All right.
everyone. I appreciate your
Sorry for the
listening. I
long one.
appreciate your support. Thanks, Mike.
Yes. Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.
Yep.
Well, Ben, that's a wrap on another episode of The Route to Revenue. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you would hit like, subscribe, and leave us old guys a comment about what we did well. And if we did anything wrong, can it and keep it to yourself.
If today's strategy sparked some ideas for your business, don't keep them to yourself. Share this episode with a fellow entrepreneur who could benefit from these insights.
Remember, building a recurring revenue business, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Take one actionable step from today's discussion and implement it in your business this week.
Want to connect with us between episodes? Find us on Facebook or at our website. We'd love to hear how you're applying these concepts in your own home service business.
And until next time, keep building those recurring revenue streams and stay on the route to revenue.
The route to revenue.
Nice, Ben.